Hello friends, today we're going to read a book called Santa's Little Helper. The author is Anu Stoner. She made the words, and Henrik Wilson is the illustrator. They made the pictures. Far, far in the north, where the first snow falls in summertime, a special village is hidden away. The village where Santa and all his helpers live. And in that village lived a little helper who couldn't wait for Christmas. He was always the first to bring a Christmas tree back from the great forest, the first to clean his sleigh, polish his boots, and spruce up his red Christmas coat. As for presents, the littlest helper had his wrapped and ready while the other helpers were still choosing theirs. He liked to give toys that he made himself. He could make all sorts of things, like brightly colored cars, spotted wooden dogs, rocking horses, and doll houses. Does everybody see him putting his presents away in his boxes, getting ready to wrap them? He also baked wonderful cinnamon stars, honey cakes, and chocolate cookies. His gingerbread was the finest in the whole world. Once all the presents were wrapped and cookies baked, he looked forward to delivering them to the children. But every year, the same thing happened. I wonder what's going to happen. There's Santa's little helper making cookies. No, you can't come, said the chief helper, who was in charge of everything in the village. You are too small. The children would laugh their heads off, shouted one helper. If they could even see him, laughed another. With his tiny sleigh, said a third. With his tiny sleigh, because he's so small. That's not very nice though, is it? The chief helper just smiled and said to the littlest helper, perhaps next year. But the littlest helper was beginning to doubt it. Santa's little helper looks sad. There he is compared to all his friends. He's so tiny. Right there. He didn't want to see or hear the other helpers set off on their journey with Santa. So he closed the shutters and stayed in his room all alone. He didn't mind that he was smaller than the others, but he was very sad that he wasn't allowed to go and visit the children. So the author tells us that Santa's little helper is feeling sad that he can't go with, and he closed his shutters, which are just like blinds in the window. There's Santa and the other helpers going on their sleigh with Santa. In the evening, when everything lay quiet and deserted, he ventured outside. He wasn't allowed to fly with the others, but he could at least stretch his legs. The stars twinkled, but the little helper didn't look at them. The others would be flying up there somewhere in their reindeer sleigh. Then, suddenly, he heard voices in the great forest. Only the animals lived in the forest. What were they talking about so late at night? Do you think Santa's little helpers can go see the animals in the forest? The littlest helper was small enough to sneak up close without the animals noticing him. The squirrel was there, and the hare, the bear, the wild pig, and the mice. They were all complaining. It's not fair, growled the bear. Santa and his helpers take presents to humans every year, but they never come to us animals, and we are right on their doorstep, grumbled the hare. It's always been like that, sighed the old owl. I'm afraid it will never change. So the animals want Christmas presents, and they're sad they don't have no Christmas presents. wonder what the little helper's gonna do. But it did change. As soon as the little helpers heard what the other animals were saying, he suddenly slipped away and ran the presents onto his sleigh, and then he was off again. He had no reindeer. They had all gone with the other helpers, but he could easily push the sleigh as far as the forest. There he goes. I wonder where he's going to put those presents. That evening, the animals had a party. The great forest had never seen anything like it. All the animals received presents, but the growly bear was happiest of all. He had never been given anything in his whole life before, and the owl was proudest. She tried on her new pullover and was instantly the best dressed bird in the whole forest. A pullover is a sweater. The owl got a sweater for Christmas. As soon as the other helpers returned, the littlest helper went to the chief and told him what had happened. The chief helper was amazed and named him Santa for the animals. "Bravo!" shouted the others, and they carried him high on their shoulders. And ever since then, the littlest helper has been just as important as the big ones. So he is the Santa for animals. Every single year. The end.